Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica Flynn and this is Flynn Sisters Home. In today's video, I'm going to take you through how I applied this peel and stick wallpaper to my textured wall. Yes, I did apply peel and stick wallpaper to a textured wall. I'm going to tell you how, and this video will serve more as kind of a review for this particular peel and stick wallpaper, since I am definitely not an expert at installing this stuff, but I am obsessed with how this came out, and it created such a huge impact on the accent wall in my office. So that's enough chit chat for me. Let's go ahead and get started. So 3 things to consider before getting started is your wall texture. Ideally, you want to have a flat wall texture, so no texture at all. My house has all orange peel texture though. You can still do that. Just know the only problem with it being textured is that the wallpaper is going to have a hard time adhering than if you were to apply it to a completely flat wall. That said, mine still work just fine. So don't count yourself completely out if you have textured walls. You can still use this wallpaper. I would just recommend getting one with a matte finish. And most of the ones I think they have through Wallpaper are matte finish. The second thing is you want to make sure that the paint on your wall is at least 3 weeks old so you don't get any lifting up when you have to reposition your paper. And 3, make sure your wall is completely clean. I just cleansed mine with a damp microfiber cloth to get off any kind of dust. I painted my house about 4 months prior to me applying this wallpaper, so my wall was plenty good for application here, okay? Next is you're gonna wanna roll out your wallpaper once you get it. It comes in a big, heavy roll. And the way that you would order this stuff is they have predetermined like sizes that would be approximate to your wall size. And then the pattern comes in several panels. My wall size ended up getting 7 panels in total. So you just want to roll them out, kind of get a feel for how the pattern lines up. Each panel is numbered and on a chart. So you can see exactly where they're supposed to line up on your wall. Once you get a good feel for how that's gonna go, I stacked all mine in order on top of each other and then laid them flat with some heavy books for about a couple hours, and I took a coffee and lunch break before getting started, because I'll tell you, rolling these panels out and lining them up is a full contact sport in and of itself. Like, I was already tired by this point. And then once I was ready to start, I grabbed my level and my yardstick and a pencil, and I went up and drew a truly straight line. This is the line I'm going to line up the edge of my first panel with, and it's imperative that this first line is straight because it's going to be kind of like the true north for all other panels on the wall here. So if I get this one totally straight, each one that lines up with this should be completely straight as well. The problem with this though, and the hardest part, is that my ceiling is actually crooked. So my ceiling is not level, which caused some problems in the end, which you'll see later in the video. I did get about a 1-inch gap on the other end of my wall because of how crooked my ceiling is. Very frustrating, but whatever. So anyway, once I got that line drawn, I grabbed my first panel and exposed about 12 inches of the wallpaper by just removing, part of that paper backing. Don't take the full paper backing off all in one shot, okay? Just expose, a little bit of it to start. Just peel it back and then line up the edge of that first panel with the line that we drew, and then anchor down with your vinyl scraper. Okay, this 8-inch vinyl scraper is such a lifesaver for this project. You absolutely need it. All right, and once I got those first few inches anchored down to my wall, I just very carefully pulled down the paper backing from either end of the panel. So using my fingers, I just grabbed the remainder of that paper backing and peeled it back down little by little, using my vinyl scraper to adhere the paper to the wall and pushing out any bubbles to the side, starting in the middle and scraping out to either end. Okay, this does take some time, and it was very physical. So you're gonna want to make sure that you ate your Wheaties that morning because you're gonna be tired. And then once I got down to the end here, I just really pushed hard into that corner with my vinyl scraper and then trimmed off any of the excess with my craft knife, which I actually trimmed off the excess on this one like not the right way. I'm going to show you the right way later on in the video. Okay, but I did have about a foot of excess paper for each panel, just because again, you have general options for the printing size that Wallartica will give you. So you will definitely have some excess, but it's better to have excess than not enough. Okay, you don't want to be running short. My next little tip, which was definitely not in the instructions, was I use this tool that I have. I think this is a painter's edging tool or something. Or maybe they use it like a scraper for drywall. I have no idea, but I found it at my old house. I hot glued a towel to the edge of it, and I use that to really press down on the paper and get it adhered to the wall as well as I could. Remember that I'm working on a textured surface, so my paper is going to have a harder time to adhere. So it's really important to put your back into it and really press this hard against the wall to get it to stick well. I think alternatively, you could probably use like a rag or a clean towel or something and press against or wipe against really hard in the same way. But this really helped to push out any remaining air bubbles and things and get this stuck on nice and tight. All right, so from here, it's just a matter of applying all the remaining panels exactly how we applied the first. So just peel back that first little bit of paper backing so we have something to anchor down our panel with. Lining up the pattern as well as you can, which is definitely the hardest part, okay? I have 9-foot ceilings, and handling these large panels by myself was really overwhelming at times, but you can definitely do this, okay? I managed to do it all by myself mostly. My husband did try to step in a couple times to help me, but I felt like with more hands on the panel, it almost made it more difficult to line the pattern up. Okay, but just keep that paper backing on for as long as you can while you're lining everything up. Okay, don't try to peel off the whole paper backing all at once and do it that way, because that would just be a total mess. Okay, but it's really not that bad, I promise. All right, so again, once we get that top portion that we exposed anchored down, from there we're just slowly removing the remaining paper backing by rolling it down, okay, and pressing down as we go with our vinyl scraper, pushing out any kind of bubbles and things. If you see some wrinkles, just pull up and then smooth out the wrinkles and press back down. You want to avoid repositioning this as much as you possibly can, especially if you're working with textured walls, because your paper is going to have a hard enough time adhering to that texture, let alone if we keep repositioning it and disturbing the adhesive. Okay, here's a close-up shot of how I trimmed off the excess at the end. So I just pressed really firmly into that corner with my vinyl scraper, and then used the edge of my vinyl scraper to guide my craft knife along that corner to get a nice crisp straight line. All right, and then you just peel off the remainder of that paper and you're good to go. So I only needed about 4 inches of my last panel because that's all I had left of the wall to cover. So I just trimmed a strip there of that panel, and placed it as well as I could, pushing it into the corner as tightly as possible, and then used my vinyl scraper tool to press against the corner of the room there to guide my craft knife to trim off the excess, just like how I showed you guys when I was trimming the bottoms, okay? I use that same technique to trim the edge right along the corner. All right, and then once I got all those panels applied, I went over everything again with my scraper towel tool that I made just to make sure everything was pressed down really firmly. But here's what we ended up with. I think it turned out awesome. I absolutely love this so much. Here you're gonna see the little 1-inch gap from my crooked ceiling, which I was super upset about, but whatever. So what we ended up doing to cover that gap was I applied a piece of crown molding up there at the top. My husband helped me nail it into the studs, and then I went up there with some just regular white caulk to fill in the seams, and then I painted it with the matching paint color for my room. Okay, so that was the last and final step. 10 out of 10 would recommend framing this wallpaper on textured walls with that thin piece of molding, just so you can keep everything in place. We did find some peel back in certain places for a couple days, but after the glue fully adhered to the wall from the adhesive, everything's been fine ever since. I just absolutely love this. Everything turned out great. This is my office. If you haven't already seen my video for this hand-painted leopard wall, I'll link it down below in the description box. That's another project that we did in here, but my office is my favorite room of the house so far. It is such a vibe. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and if you liked my video, please be sure to give us a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I upload new videos every week on this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.